Good morning, channel members. We are super excited to be live this morning. Zeb's going to come around here in a second. Today's live, we're going to be talking about how we find things at the thrift store. A lot of people will say, I go to the thrift store or I go junking and I just don't see it. What are some tips and tricks on how to find good things? And I felt like that was like the perfect video for channel members because most of you guys are junking and thrifting to resell or to decorate your own homes, and because you guys pay the extra every month, you get all the dibs, right?
Yeah, all the fun tips and tricks and things that we probably wouldn't normally talk about just because it gets a little mundane to them, but for us it's like super exciting because it's what we do.
So if you like shopping, this is the video for you. I'm going to pull up comments here. Recently I've been doing a lot of shopping and I never realized quite how good at shopping I was until we were in Paris and I like shopped everybody under the table. I was like, oh.
I don't know, Kathy and Sarah
did really good, but they were there for like 3 extra days. So.
Well, so everybody else, I think everybody had different things that they were looking for. Debbie was looking for, and Dion were looking for like art supplies and things like that, like French art supplies and easels and things, but.
Debbie said, she's like, man, Jami like seriously shopped the crap out of the time. We had some wasted time and some time doing like touristy stuff, so our shopping time was a little bit limited, but you know, if you're ready, like in the zone, you can buy some stuff. So it's kind of fired a bug in me because I've actually done a lot of shopping since I got home, and Zeb's like, hold your roll.
Like, we'll pan the room in a minute here.
It was completely empty.
This is all new since we've been home, and we've only been home a week. At 1 o'clock this afternoon, we will have been home a week.
Well, and everything that I bought in France that I was going to sell is already in the shop. So that's like 2 days after I got home, I got that all tagged, cleaned, and in the shop because people were itching to get that up. So how do I find this video on here?
So you got to click the link. Oh, here it is, right there.
There we are. Okay, sorry about that.
Oh, everybody's saying hi. Lots of people on watching this morning.
All right, let's see if there's any questions on here. Zeb, why don't you, while I'm looking up questions, why don't you give them kind of what you, because Zeb and I definitely find different things when we're thrifting.
We shop a lot differently. So I look for very specific things, and Jami casts a more of a broad stroke. She sees better what things can be, and I see kind of like, I look for like wood items that can be turned into something or can easily be manipulated or can be used as parts for something else. A lot of my thrifting is, hey, that has 8 or 9 hooks on it and it's only $1.50. And then I'm gonna make like a big coat rack or something out of it later. So that's what I'm looking for, what I do, and Jami has a super good eye for seeing what something can be, and that's kind of the trick, and we're going to go over that a little bit and explain more, because sometimes we get the comment on our channel, that's not very farmhouse, that doesn't even look anything like farmhouse or country at all, and we will change it.
And the UPS delivery truck is here with about 400 pounds of paint. So I'm going to let you tell them a little bit of your tips and tricks, and I'm going to help the UPS guy out. Is that
He's
right?
fine. That's what he gets paid to do. He knows we're not here.
Well, I just want to make sure that they drop it on the back porch.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it.
Okay, because if they leave without leaving my paint, I'm going to be sad. All right, so the cool thing is Zeb is really tall, and I'm kind of short. So he actually sees things like way up high. But the number one tip I could say is squat down. Nobody ever squats. They like shop at eye level, and when you're like an A-pro shopper, you got to get yourself, practice if you can. You know, if you're not good at squatting, you got to squat down and you got to look at those bottom rows because that is where I found some of my best treasures. Or in the way back in the corner. Like Zeb's seen me in the corner, like the DI outside. They have these like big long shelves. Zeb's seen me with my legs in the air because I'm literally in the junk pile digging in the back of the corner.
So the reason things get buried down there on the bottom is because that's where everybody just kind of goes and dumps stuff, or it doesn't get moved around by employees, especially at a thrift store. She's going for the UPS guy. So stuff gets lost down there. Some of our best finds have been when we've lifted things up and looked underneath, because you go in these thrift stores and sometimes they're really neat and organized, or even like a antique shop too. They start to get layers and layers and layers of stuff in there after a while, and very rarely do they go and clean that out and reset the shop. So when you go, make sure you're digging and get in there and find those things like these candlesticks, for example. This one right here, wide out in the open. This one over here was not close. It was like down up underneath some stuff, and just like this much of it was poking out. And had Jami not gotten in there and really dug for it, we wouldn't have had a match set. And now we're gonna have this match set. So just little things like that will get you a long way as far as finding the good stuff that everyone else is not seeing. And it's usually cheap too, because it's been there forever. Who knows the last time someone remarked it on a price.
All right, so I got a question I'm gonna answer real quick. Shara Karanasas, Jami, if I paint my countertops and use an IOD stamp with DIY paint, what would you use to seal? So I haven't done countertops, but if I was going to use them, I would probably do like a water-based floor sealer.
Yeah.
Because anything that, water-based so that way it doesn't yellow your paint, but anything that can hold up to like heavy-duty floor use will probably hold up on your countertops. You could also do like an epoxy over the top of it as well. There's lots of videos on how to epoxy countertops. Epoxy is going to be a little bit messier and a little bit stinky, but that will probably be the most durable, and we do carry that marble stamp on our website. Okay. Now we'll get back to what we're talking about.
So another one of my tips is I usually go looking for something specific, like let's say you're a shop owner or you've got a holiday or party coming up. You want to find that specific thing. Don't limit yourself to that thing if you find something else cool, but if you have something in mind that you're actually looking for, chances are you'll find something that will work for that, or you won't spend a lot of money on stuff that you don't really need.
Well, I usually have a mental shopping list, like Zeb said, of things that I'm looking for, that I go specifically for, and then I have like a running list, meaning we're always looking for, and you guys are probably, this is not going to be new to you, baskets that are like unique shapes, something like a shape like this kind of basket is perfect for a coffee table or a dining table, so anything that can be used as a centerpiece, or baskets that are like, this is a big, I actually picked this up at a barn sale, but this is a unique shape, farmhouse style. So I'm always looking for that. Rolling pins, cutting boards, anything that's like, this was a like rough ceramic. If I like the shape, I love it when it doesn't have a lot of sealer on it because it just soaks that paint right up, so I'm always looking for that. I love birdhouses in the spring. We're actually doing some, even though it's not spring, we're gonna do a whole set of birdhouses.
Putting wintry colors on them.
Yeah, for the holidays, any kind of nativity or Santa, but even if it's the wrong color, scoop it up, because if you paint it and white wax it, it will, like at least here, it just flies off the shelves because people can't find farmhouse Christmas decor. That's not cheesy. At least that's been my...
That's not cheesy.
That's been my experience. So if you can create something like that, just look for the base, and you're going to be thinking texture, like what is it made of, and shape. If it's made of something you can paint and you like the shape, then pick it up. Also price point. You have to be able to 3 to 4 times your money on items, maybe even a little bit more. If it's a more expensive item, then maybe 3 or 4 times is fine. A smaller item, I try to like 8 or 9 times my money. So buying at the right price is really important because you don't want to spend 4 hours on a project and make $10.
Well, even if you're buying something for your own home, if you have to spend X amount on it and then you have supplies for changing it or whatever, it might be easier to go, if you don't get it at a good price, you might as well have just bought it like down at the furniture store.
Absolutely. I do on occasion pay more for things that I want to be statement pieces in my shop. And like I went to a barn sale on Saturday and the prices were less than what I would charge, but not as cheap as a thrift store, but there was tonnage. There was lots of really great items all in one space. So it made sense for me to go shopping and pay a little bit more because it saved me time, and these pieces are like right on with the way I want my shop to look. So if I take those key pieces that are a little bit more expensive and I mix them in with my regular finds, it kind of upgrades everything that I have in the shop and makes it all look more farmhouse because I've got some big statement pieces. So we're going to show you those here in a little bit that I picked up at that barn sale. Zeb came and saw the truck. I was going to get a picture for y'all, but Zeb had it unloaded before I could take a picture, but it was filled to the brim.
I was feeling very efficient.
You were on top of that. But that's something to keep in mind. You can spend a little more if it's a statement piece. You can even make those pieces like not for sale because they kind of help pull your entire look together. Merchandising is important, so if you don't have those big statement pieces, it makes it a little bit harder to merchandise.
All right, so what I'm doing over here, because I'm sure you guys are curious, I made these cutting boards last night. This one, it's out of maple. This one is got just oil, mineral oil on it, food safe mineral oil, and I want them to be a little more aged. And the reason I made these is because sometimes when you go, like we went to France, and that was one of our big things that we wanted to get. We wanted to get some French cutting boards.
Guess what we didn't find?
We did not even see a single one for sale. Like, there was a couple on display in some like higher end shops that we went into, but they weren't for sale. And so I'm working on recreating them. And this one's a little small. We're gonna go with some bigger ones. But sometimes when you are out there thrifting, shopping, picking, and you don't find what you need, you gotta figure out how to make it.
Yeah, luckily I have a Zeb, so he makes all the things that I can't fill in. Now I did have a question. Do I ever pick yard sales? Absolutely. I don't go to yard sales that are far away from home because they are hit or miss, but if they're in my city and it's in my travels, I'll go. I love a good neighborhood yard sale. Anytime that you can hit up 6 to a dozen houses in a couple of hours, you'll usually find some things. Yard sales are great places to find things. I feel like they're either overpriced or underpriced, right? So there's things that are way too expensive, and then there's like, oh, 50 cents, take that. There's no way you'd like get it for 50 cents at the thrift store. So that's something that's good about yard sales.
Karen Berg from Redow has a great tip on hitting yard sales. So she'll go to yard sales, she'll hit them up early in the morning, and she'll find stuff that she likes so she knows what she's after. But if the price is high on something, she'll come back later and see, and that's why you need to get the stuff that's close to home so it's not like a huge waste of time, and see what hasn't sold at their yard sale and offer them way cheap prices, and she'll usually get it because at that point they're either hauling it off to the dump or the thrift store anyway.
Or bulk pricing. Definitely check Craigslist on Saturday about 1 o'clock. If you're in Utah, you'd check KSL. And when people are done having their yard sale, sometimes they'll post an address. Everything's free, come and get it, because otherwise I have to haul it off. So that is another pro tip. So you're gonna check Craigslist or any buy, sell, trade pages that are like good in your area. It's different everywhere. But Saturdays about 1 or 2 o'clock, check them. Use this word search free, because usually they'll put free in their ad and they'll pop up, and sometimes you can come and just haul it all in. That's a tip that I actually haven't shared to a lot of people. So
the secret's out.
The secret is out.
It works on Facebook Marketplace too, same.
Yeah, Facebook Marketplace, Saturdays between 1 and 2 o'clock. Let's see. Is natural hemp oil food safe? I don't know, I haven't used natural hemp oil. I know that we're gonna start carrying hemp oil. I think it's Old Fashioned or Sweet Pickens.
We'll get the MSDS on it and make sure.
Yeah, we'll find out. I don't know. I would check with the actual manufacturer. We just use butcher block oil because we know that that's food safe. So we go from there. What Zeb is doing is he's using still wool and vinegar to kind of age these cutting boards. It would probably be better if the still wool sat in the vinegar longer, so we might come back and do a second pass on them. Different wood will react differently too.
Yeah, this is maple, it's pretty light, so we might not get a good coloration, but it will hopefully change it more than this. This was raw wood last night. I oiled it really heavily, and this is kind of the way it looks. It still looks cool, but it doesn't have the age. It looks newer than we want it to look.
All right, I'm just going through to make sure I'm not missing anything. If you've asked a question I haven't answered it, please ask again, because I will try to get to everything. Free is awesome, and also like let your friends know what you're doing. You can even go on your Facebook page. Here's another tip. Go on your personal Facebook page and say, hey, I'm Jami Ray, or whatever your name is, fill in the blank. I love to take old discarded items and make them new again. If you or anybody you know is getting rid of blah, 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 whatever it is that you're looking for free or next to free, I'd love to take it off your hands. Once people start knowing what you do, you'll get the call, right, Zeb? Or the text, like I got the other day from my friend Jo Ava. I've known her for, gosh,
probably
6 years.
Yeah, long time, since we were doing markets.
Yeah, since long time. And she's like, Jami, I've got all this stuff, it's going to the dump, but you have to pick it up by 1 o'clock. And she said, she used the magic words, old doors and windows. And I was like, Zeb, I know we're busy, but get in the truck. And luckily it was close to where we buy our specialty woods. We buy them at National Wood Supply. And so we went over there and we filled up, if you saw my Instagram stories, an entire truckload. Everything was free. It's gonna take a little bit of labor to clean it all up, so that'll cost me some, because I'll have, today's Tuesday, so Kathy comes into the shop and cleans for me, so I'll pay her to clean them. But who doesn't love, like, I've got tonnage. Now for my grand opening, I'm gonna have all this salvage on my back porch, and I'm super excited about it, because most people that follow me love junk as much as I do. All right, so if you wanna show them the difference between that one and that one, you can already see that it's taking shape. People get asked about food safe stains. The steel wool and vinegar is absolutely food safe. So the longer you let it sit, can you guys tell?
So oiled, not oiled. This is still wet. This has got the steel wool and vinegar on it. And it'll keep reacting probably for another half hour till it dries. And then we can either wipe it off. We always clean them. Once I've used the steel wool and vinegar, I like to clean them with dish soap. And then I'll seal them with like the food safe mineral oil. But we'll show you towards the end of the video what they're looking like, because they should keep reacting. There was something else I wanted to talk about and I forgot. Oh, free items, telling your friends you take free stuff. Once they find out you're doing it, they'll bring you all the free stuff, whether it's something you're looking for or not.
So make sure you let them know you don't want the junk.
Yeah, tell them no sometimes. Be like, no, that's not something I'm looking for. I can't really do anything with that. It's okay. And for the most part, people will be really cool. I mean, they understand that especially your friends, they're gonna understand that you're not like the dump. So they can't just bring everything.
If somebody has a good piece and then they have some crappy piece, I'll say, hey, I'll pick up everything, and then I just make a quick trip to the thrift store for them and drop off the stuff I don't want. So that's another tip. Sometimes people will give you some really good stuff, and then in exchange you've got to drop off the other stuff at the Goodwill. And as long as it's not too much of a drive and too much of a time constraint and you have space to put it in your vehicle, I always think that's a good option. Helps them out, helps you out, especially when you're first starting out and you don't have a lot of money to spend. You have more time than you have money, essentially, so you can spend a little of your time to make a little money. Okay, so how do you choose between a 7-day-a-week antique mall versus a monthly pop-up? You know what? To me, I would look at foot traffic. Visit the pop-up. If they have tons of people and they're selling a few $1,000s in a day, do the pop-up, man. Like, that's awesome all day long. If they're not getting as much people and there's an antique mall that gets more foot traffic, then choose the antique mall. Really, everywhere is going to be a little bit different. The barn sale that I just went to was a pop-up, and they made a killing because they advertised really well. But I know there are some pop-up shops that don't advertise as well, and if you don't get hundreds of people to come out, you're not going to sell enough stuff.
Yeah, it's basically like moving a house once a month, almost like a market, and then if you don't do well, you have to move that house again.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely be careful. And you know what? For a long time I did this. It's still something I do. If I pick it, I force myself 99% of the time to flip it, because if I don't do that, then I'm more likely to take something I may or may not want, and then you wind up with a bunch of stuff. Then you have to take that stuff and do something with it, like take it to the dump or to the thrift store, and time is money. So I've always forced myself to work my way through my garage when it gets too full, because then I'm a little bit more cautious about the things I bring home. Because I know so many people, they'll hoard tonnage, and then they'll be like, I'm liquidating everything, and they'll sell it for less than they paid for it. So they're not only out money, but they're also out their time, because even when you're picking something up, you have to take into account your gas and your time to pick up that item.
Free trash pickup day. Let's talk about that.
Free trash. Oh, bulk pickup. So if you find out that they do bulk pickup in your area, definitely that would be a good time to set time aside with a truck and a trailer and just go around and dig through people's garbage. No fabric. No fabric. Wood only, and when you take it home, you are going to spray it and clean it and scrub it. Like bleach and every cleaner imaginable. So know that. If there's a bunch of fabric or there's a mattress by something, I'm not touching it. If there's a mattress at all in that junk pile, I don't care if there was a priceless antique, it's gonna stay there. I'm not touching it. So Pro tip, if there's a mattress, just keep driving.
So one thing that I always look for on bulk trash pickup day is old fencing. It's almost always out there, and it's amazing for making signs, and you can also use it to build furniture and things like that, like old hutches and things. Like an old built-in cabinet, if you get enough of that, you can easily make a quick frame and do a little built-in style that looks like it's 100 years old, but it's just old fencing.
Yeah, when you build with old materials, then you get new products that are sturdy but look old. Cindy commented on my hair, thank you. I actually brought my curling iron to the shop this morning because Zeb was in a hurry to get here. So I curled it in the shop bathroom. You'll probably see me with my hair down more that it's getting cold in the summertime. I don't know how people wear their hair down in the summer. They must be dedicated, but I get sweaty and it like sticks to the back of my head and I just can't do that. So I only do my hair in the cold months. So you probably see it down a little bit more. And my sweater is from Stitch Fix. I just decided to start doing that shopping service. It's awesome because you can pick up a few pieces that you like without wasting a lot of time and then just send back what you don't want. Jamie says no to cooties. Yeah, I don't want cooties. No cooties. If you're not from the US, cooties are like, you know, like when you're a little girl, you say boys have cooties. They're like things you don't want. Yeah, so you don't want that when you're getting stuff. Especially with what we do for a living, you have to make sure so that everything is cleaned so well, and like you don't want to bring that into your place of business or your home because it could shut you down. All right. Why don't you replace the missing window? Oh, okay, so somebody asked about a missing window. You can replace the panes, but most of the time it's not worth it. So absolutely take out the glass. You can replace it with a little piece of wood, make it into a chalkboard, or you can just leave it as is, put a big wreath on it. I have multiple windows in my home that are missing panes that I just use as decor, but you definitely want to replace, like take out the broken one, because you don't want anybody to cut themselves or to have it break in transit if it's already broken. And I don't, when I'm picking windows, I'm really picky. If a window pane is loose or broken, I don't take it. We left probably a dozen windows yesterday in our hall because they either had a crack in them or the glass was loose and I knew it was going to break before I got home.
Yeah, because that's just one extra thing you've got to deal with or have to pay to replace later down the road, and there's always more windows out there.
Yeah, well, at least in ours. Now, if you don't have access to a ton of windows, you can still make some cool stuff with just the frames. So they do have some value, but for us, where we usually have quite a few, like I probably have, I don't know, 25 windows currently.
It might be more than that.
Maybe more than that, because I have some windows here.
It's time to start selling some of these windows.
Some at the farmhouse, yeah. So I have quite a few. So for me, I'm not going to pick those up, but there are definitely some things you can do with just frames. Do you ever try estate sales? Here in Utah, estate sales tend to be overpriced.
They're usually a lot of times, if you can find one that's ran by like a family or something, go for it. But if it's like
it's run by a company
that does estate sales, almost always we found that they're at least in our area, they're overpriced.
So Debbie used to do a lot of estate sales. Debbie from Debbie's Design Diary, so she would be a good person to ask about that. The one thing like that happens here is that Sundays the estate sales go half off. We don't shop on Sunday. If we did, we would hit up estate sales on Sunday, but Sunday's our day off. We don't shop at any store or from anybody on that day, so we don't go to them. But if you are looking for estate sales, check out when the last day of the estate sale is. They're generally half off, and then you can pick up some tonnage. Okay, what do you use to get rid of musty old smell? I wash with vinegar and spray with shellac, still have some smell. Shellac, like if you've already sprayed with shellac, I don't know much more than that. Maybe an extra coat or two should like seal that smell in.
You can also do like things like fabric softener sheets, but it's going to take some time on something like that. Or like people put coffee grinds.
Coffee grinds will absorb smell, but if you've already shellacked it, you've kind of already sealed in that smell. So really your only option is to do a few more coats of shellac, and that should help you out.
Yep.
If you haven't shellacked it, I have scrubbed pieces with bleach and put coffee grounds and fabric softener in the drawers to absorb the smells, then removed all that. Even baking soda will help. And then after I get that out, then I spray it with shellac and go from there.
Febreze actually works pretty well. But sometimes it just, if you haven't cleaned it really well and you Febreze it first, sometimes you get like a weird funky smell going on.
Kitty litter also absorbs smells. That's what Lisa says.
Yep.
All right, so here's some pro tips for junking when you're traveling, okay? Number one, always have an empty suitcase. Zeb and I came to France prepared. I don't even know, it's funny because I don't even know what else I would have brought. Like I brought all the things, because I guess I'm a minimalist, that I even could want, and I still had a ton of extra space. But always make sure you have an extra suitcase, or take a duffel bag and roll it up and stick it in your suitcase. You can bring stuff home with that. And when you get to wherever you're going, you're gonna look for charity shops. So, or in America, they're thrift stores. So search those out in your map. And then you're gonna go into Facebook Marketplace, and you can change your address in there. You're gonna change your address in Marketplace and hit save, and then you'll be able to tap into the marketplace in that area and shop just like you would at home. I have found a lot of things like shopping that way. What else, Deb?
Well, and when we were in Hawaii, we didn't get a ton of things, but we filled up a whole other suitcase that we got. We got the suitcase at a thrift store there.
Yeah, you can also pick up thrift store suitcases. Definitely check them, make sure they look clean, spray them with Lysol. And usually I just throw those away when I get home, because I'm not going to put my clothes in something that I don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
I'm just a little
If it's more than
$10,
$15, maybe just go get a new one.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see, Sherry says, I went to the best estate sale ever last weekend. People worked for Nordstrom's and the company putting it on had 3 days to do it. I made out like a bandit. Sometimes you hit the mother loads.
Should we talk about the haggle?
Yeah. So let's talk about negotiation. When you go to a thrift store, they don't really negotiate. However, if you find something that's broken, don't be afraid to be like, hey, can I ask the manager if they'll take a lower price? Many thrift stores have a system where you can look and see when the item came in the shop. In Utah, there's a number, and the number that's on the tag is the week it came in. So if you know what week you're on, you can see if something's been there 2, 3, 4 weeks. And you can usually negotiate a little bit with price on that. You have to talk to the manager. I'm always very respectful. Like if they say no, then I'm like, okay, and I move on. But there's no harm in saying, hey, would you take a little less on this? Or this is broken, you know, I'm gonna have to fix it. Would you take a little less? Because a lot of times the people pricing for them aren't taking into account that something is broken. They just have like a standard price list, and everything that is that gets that price, whether it's broken or not. So sometimes you can kind of negotiate that price down a little.
We've had good luck doing that with thrift stores, especially up here, because if they can't move it, if it's broken, it's not going to sell to most people, and they're just going to have to pay to haul it off or throw it away. Like it's, if it doesn't sell at a thrift store, that's the end of the line.
I'm not a huge negotiator, so I get that sometimes it's a little bit scary. If you have, if I'm going to a yard sale and I ask somebody the price of something, if I feel like the price is fair, I don't negotiate. That's just me. Like in my mind, I know what I want to pay for things. But if the price is a little high, sometimes I'll say, okay, and then I walk away and I'll grab like a bunch of stuff and I'll say, okay, it's called the bundle deal. We learned that from American Pickers, if you've ever watched that
works.
show. It totally works. Throw stuff together and say, would you take this? You know, what if I bought all this? What could you do for me then? And they'll usually come down because you're taking a lot of their stuff. Well, we were at the flea markets in Paris. We did that. Some guy didn't want to come down on the price of something. And I said, okay, well, what if I throw in this item and then it's all that price? And he just wanted that amount of money and he didn't care if he gave me like 2 or 3 items.
Yeah, that's how we got the little horse.
Yep, the horse was a bundle deal with my little copper umbrella holder. Another thing when you're doing flea markets, if they're used to haggling, like in France, they will come down generally by half.
They expect
you to haggle. So never be afraid. And sometimes I'll say, please, would you be willing to do that just for me, please? I'm not afraid to like bat my eyes for a deal. You want to hear something funny? I don't know if Dion's a channel member, but we were getting our luggage in at the airport, and I knew her bag was going to be over, and it was over 5 pounds. I said, so what did they charge you? And she goes, oh, nothing. And I said, well, how'd you get away with that? She said, she's so cute. I love Dion. The guy goes, you're over by 5 pounds. She goes, what am I going to do? And he's like, well, it's $85. She's like, I know, but what am I going to do? And he's like, ugh. And he just pushed the bag along. Saved her $85. She did say that she had to pay a little extra when she got into the States because they had to grab their bags and then recheck them in. But it saved her from having to pay $85 twice. So never underestimate the power of the eye batting. Zeb doesn't really get away with that.
I don't.
You do have pretty baby blues. But.
Yeah, but it. I don't use them like that. They're for seeing only.
I take brown paper and bubble wrap to my local Goodwill, so they're willing to give me some better deals. I don't take advantage. That's awesome that you do that. to help them out. Sometimes I'll take like my big IKEA bag, or when they're bagging up, I will try to put stuff inside of stuff. It kind of depends where we're at. The DI here, I know like where all their money goes to. There's not like a huge CEO that's getting paid like hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars. I know where all the dollars go to, so I'm usually happy to pay a little bit more for stuff because I know it's a good price. But at the end of the day, I'm still running a business and they're running a business. So if they're selling something I feel like it's a little overpriced, I'm not too proud to ask for a little bit better deal. All right. There are a billion vendors around Top Texas, and I still have a hard time asking for a deal. What's up with that? So I think when you're at a market where it's more of a boutique style, I don't know what Round Top is like, but like the barn sale I went to, I didn't negotiate because it wasn't that kind of sale. So I think you kind of just have to play it by ear.
Well, and some things were a little high I say that. They were all good deals, but a little higher than what we would have normally paid. But like Jamie said earlier, it was kind of a unique item. We weren't going to see it again. And it would be like that eye-catching thing that is, even if people don't buy it in the shop, they're going to want. Like the stuff from France.
Yeah, the stuff from France. And if I do pay a little bit more for an item, I make sure that it's something that if it doesn't sell, I wouldn't mind keeping. So if you're paying a little bit more than you'd like to pay, but it's something you really love, see if it sells. If it doesn't sell, then just take it home and love it till you are ready to sell it. Get some use out of that. Now this is funny. Third AKT Design says, I tell my husband to flash his baby blue sometimes for deals. Works with the ladies. The problem is that my husband, he would never flirt with somebody for a discount. Like it's never going to happen.
Goes against my grain too much.
It goes against his grain. He's just he's not a flirt. In fact, when we started dating, his best friend got mad because he no longer would check out girls at the car wash next door. He was like,
there's a car wash next to the discount tire I worked at.
He's tunnel vision when it comes to me. I like it that way.
Sorry.
Hey, don't be sorry. It's work to my. I'll pay an extra $2 for me not to flirt with women.
I wanted to show you guys this. The still wool and vinegar is doing its job.
Oh,
so
yeah.
This is the still wool and vinegar. It's still damp. It's still cool to the touch.
Nice.
And then here's the one that was oiled.
So good.
Which one's looking old and authentic?
Okay, third AKT Design says his is a natural flirt. So like I said, you know who he's coming home with, right? All right, do I put big top coat or big top on all my smalls? Sometimes I do wax, like if my girls that work here, my team is doing it, then they will use wax. If I'm doing a lot of stuff, I used Sweet Pickett's top coat or big top. I put it in my sprayer and I just spray because then I can finish a lot of things in a short amount of time. Oh, Vintage Sin. Cindy says, I can tell the way Zeb looks at you that he only has eyes for you. It's a true story.
So I will say this. I'm always very polite and very nice, even when negotiating. And you can't, so let's say it's something you really, really want. If they give you a price and you're not happy with it and they're just not going to budge on it, don't get upset or flustered or be like, all right, you either got to be willing to pay that or willing to set it down and walk away. And a lot of times, like we were at this market in France, or this the flea market there, and so we were walking back and forth just checking because a lot of times it's hard to see everything someone's got in one pass, so you make another pass. And it happened to Jamie. Someone was like, hey, I'll do this deal on that for you. So, just don't be afraid to set it down, walk away, and then come back later. If they still have it, they might be ready to deal on that.
But I'm always polite because I don't ever want to come off as entitled. Like when I'm buying something from somebody, I am not entitled that they will give me the price that I want. And I hope that people respect me in the same manner when they come shop at my shop, because this is actually like a retail store. We don't negotiate prices. Like they are what they are. I think the second you start negotiating prices, then people will come back later. Well, you worked with me the last time, so you kind of have to make a choice. Are you or are you not going to negotiate? Because once you negotiate for somebody, they'll come back and expect a deal every time. So we just don't here. And it's always a little annoying when people act put off by it. So if I'm negotiating with somebody else and they don't want a deal, I'm always, okay, thank you, and I appreciate it, and I'm just kind to them because I never want to act like I'm entitled to a deal.
That doesn't mean we don't occasionally have sales and know what hasn't sold in a while, so we'll put those up for sale and put good discounts on them. And we've got an email list specifically for that we've created so that people, if they're interested in finding out when we have deals or sales or fun things going on, events at the shop, that they get notified for that.
Yeah, somebody said not even if it's a big bundle. No, I don't. I have to say probably in the 3 years or 2.5 years I've been at the shop, the only time I ever come down on price is if I've had something for 9 months to a year and I'm really looking to let go.
And it's usually already been on sale and marked down.
Yeah, so that's the only time that I come down on pricing. It's my bag. And
I think I'm gonna spray this.
Yeah, I think you're probably better to spray that because it's pretty slick. You could paint, we need to paint these bird houses. We were doing tarnished pearl.
There's some tarnished pearl right here.
All right, let's see if there's any other questions here. Kimberly says, I'm always sending my hubby with his pretty baby blues to return things I've had for a long time. They always give it to him. That's my dad. My dad, oh my goodness.
If you need something returned, her dad is the guy.
He pulls the crazy old man and they give it to him just to get him to go away. I love him so much, but man, sometimes I'm like, Dad, be nice. Oh, it's so bad. All right, Mr. Stickers up on the orange jar. We're gonna spray that, so we'll scrub it down with Mr. Sticker on the front.
Oh, all right, I'll get that.
Our thrift stores are like legit, man. DI puts like 5,200 stickers. All right, let's see. We've got another 15 minutes or so, maybe 20, because we came on a little late. So I'm gonna think in my mind real quick. I'm gonna shut my mouth and think in my mind. It's hard to do. And think of some extra tips that I can share. But if you have questions, go ahead and ask them, and I will come back and answer them. Zeb, is there anything you want to share while I'm using my brain power?
So something that we had problems with, and my garage is still overly full, and I'm sure lots of your garages are full. Jami talked about if you buy something, do something with it. But sometimes we get so much free stuff all at once, it just piles up and piles up and piles up. And what I like to tell Jami is, because I've never seen it not happen again, just because that's free doesn't mean you have to take it. Because you only have so much room. If you're getting so much stuff that you're paying for a storage unit, most storage units are around $100 a month for one of any decent size. And that's $1,200 a year that you're now paying to store junk that you can't even remember what's in there.
Buy a shed.
Yeah, get a shed. But more importantly, say no to some of that free stuff. Make sure you're keeping the really good pieces, but it's okay to pass on stuff because guess what? Almost always, next week we'll find something else for free that's almost the same or even better. So.
Well, don't pick any faster than your paintbrush can fly.
Yeah.
I should trademark that. But don't pick faster than your paintbrush can fly. If you pick 20 pieces a month, but you only ever can paint 10 pieces a month, then you're picking too much. So make sure that you're staying consistent. It's okay to get tonnage every now and then work your way through that tonnage, but then allow yourself, okay, I've picked 3 months of goodies, so I need to not pick for a few months, that way I can work my way through it. Because no matter what, the math doesn't work out. If you're picking 4 times more than you can actually paint, then you're never gonna wind up getting ahead. All right, I'm gonna scroll back through because we've got some questions. Does it matter what kind of vinegar? We used apple cider vinegar, but we've used regular vinegar.
Usually I use the white distilled vinegar, and the apple cider will give you a little more color. Like if you've got a light wood like this, like a pine even, you can see the apple cider is kind of orangey in here. It'll react faster, I think, with the still wool, and you'll get that really quick, good look. Like these aren't going to get like really dark, but you can see they are getting gray, and I've got this fun speckled effect. This one is still wet.
I've never really seen it do that. We'll have to put another coat on.
It's because of it's because the way the grain is on the maple. It's really tight, and so some places it got down in more and some it didn't. So instead of all going gray, you get this fun speckle.
So have we ever been to auctions? We have. We went to an auction in Vegas.
We almost got in trouble there too because we didn't have enough room in the trailer.
I don't remember the name of the auction, and even if I did, I couldn't tell you because I was sworn to secrecy.
You can Google it.
But auctions are great. Place to get good discounts on stuff. It was funny because people were bidding on this dumb crap, and all the good junk that I wanted, I got for next to nothing. So definitely Don't underestimate auctions. If you go to an auction that's known for furniture, you might pay a little bit more, but never underestimate an auction that may not be necessarily known for furniture and salvage, because if they do have it, they're going to undervalue it, and the people that are there may or may not necessarily bid on it. So that's always a good thing to know. What is Zeb using to remove those stickers with these? He's using the razor blade.
It's just a razor blade. It's from the dollar store. No, this is from Harbor Freight.
Yeah, you can also use lemon, after you get it off, if they're still sticky, use lemon essential oil. That one works really well.
It doesn't work on everything because some things it'll gouge, so you got to make sure it's kind of a hard surface that you're doing it on. You don't want to scratch what you're pulling the tag off of.
Somebody says, I see another JRV t-shirt. Never pick faster than your paintbrush can fly.
I'm like, I'm wearing my Hawaii shirt today.
Okay, I just bought a farmhouse table. It was white, but it's very yellow. I was going to strip it because I was worried about the yellow coming through. Or can I sand it lightly and for DIY paint to stick? Yeah. So you can absolutely sand it lightly and then paint it with DIY paint. Is it yellow coming through the wood? If that's the case, make sure you have some shellac handy in case you get bleed through. If you search Jami Ray Vintage bleed through, videos will pop up and you can watch how we use it. But just a few coats anywhere the yellow pops through the paint, you should be good. Denise says, loves the look on the cutting board. And it says, the homemade stain is food safe. Yes, it's just still wool and vinegar. So we just clean it. It's like an all natural stain. We just clean it when we're done with it and then seal it. But the thing is, most people do not use the cutting boards that we make for their daily drivers. They're not using them to cut things on. They're using them for decor, because these aren't cheap.
These are handmade, and even though they're not authentic, like an authentic one this size is about $65. We're probably gonna still sell these for about $45 to $50.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is like maple wood. I paid $4 a board foot for this wood.
Yeah, it's way more expensive than regular wood. And we'll show you, Zeb made some more larger custom cutting boards. We'll show you those in a second. Jamie, how do you decide to spray or hand paint furniture? So if I'm filming like this, you're gonna see us brushing because spraying on camera isn't good. If it's a lot of things, like if it's gonna be white swan, like these candlesticks he first coated, but we'll take these down to the basement and we'll just spray a bunch of stuff white. If it's big or it has lots of cubbies, that's also going to get sprayed, because getting a brush in those cubbies, even the new Paint Pixie curved brush, I mean, it's just more work. It's kind of like, have you guys watched Dion from the Turquoise Iris? She's currently crying over a hutch that she has to paint the inside of it. The reason being, even those of us that paint furniture, we hate painting the inside of hutches. So I would have sprayed it. Like if it were me, before I did the outside.
I don't think she's set up to spray that.
No, she doesn't have a spray booth, but if it were me, I'd spray the inside and then hand brush the outside. Because if you're just doing a single color on the inside, it really doesn't need to be hand brushed. Spraying is just fine. So that's kind of what makes the deciding factor for me. I can't get that cutting board. I can't get that cutting board's $20 tops. I don't know what that means. I mean, you wouldn't pay more than $20? I guess it depends on what you're looking for. People in the farmhouse world.
She says she can't get that kind of price on them.
Oh.
So
gotcha.
The ones we get from the thrift store, we're selling for like $11, $12.
Yeah, it's the style of cutting board that it is, and people will pay.
So you see how they got that handmade look, because I did hand make them, but I left them kind of, you can see there's a little raised. The reason these are raised is because when they were authentically made way back in the day, what would happen is this wood would shrink and then these would be left hanging out because this didn't shrink the same way just as the wood dries out. So, I mean, something like this, yeah, it's not an original, but it looks pretty darn close, and I've taken a lot of effort.
The originals are handmade. This one is handmade.
Yeah,
so
I've taken a lot of effort to
it.
make them really close to what the originals are.
Kimberly just says people are cheaper. Her booth is. People are cheap here, so I like to have a mix of stuff. So you'll find things for a few dollars, or you'll find things for a few $100s. But definitely it's important to know your audience. So if people are cheap, oh, here comes the cutting board.
So I made these.
Seb made these from old.
Here, finish your sentence.
Oh, anyways.
People are cheap.
In your case, I would be, if people were that cheap, I would only be getting stuff for free. Because that's the only way you're going to make enough money. Zeb, did you get a splinter? You might need to sand these some more.
I sanded them a bunch, but they're dry. They need oiled.
Oh, okay. So this has been made from wood from the farmhouse. We have a couple of them. These are from rafters. And that's why they've got this cool old patina, no stain on them. So we'll just oil these as is. These are awesome. I saw one on Pinterest and I was like, Zeb, make that. So we did.
But these are fun. I've got enough wood to make 2 more. They'll be a little shorter, but
Yeah.
they're gonna look really cool in the shop. We're gonna price them high, but even if people don't buy them, they'll look good.
No, people will buy them because you can't get those. You can't go to the store and buy that. And if you do, you're going to pay $200 for it. If you get it from like a Williams Sonoma or a Crate and Barrel. Here they'll probably sell for like what, 95? Is that what we decided?
Yeah, I think 95 is what we're gonna ask, and not everybody's a buyer at that price point, but we'll get someone that comes just for that.
Do I have set prices? So Laura, I do have set prices for some things, like rolling pins with painted handles are $10.95. My candlesticks are all priced similar. Everything else really depends on what it is and how rare of an item it is and how cool I think it is. Meaning if it's really cool, I'll price it a little higher because I know I can get a little more for it. Sometimes I don't know exactly where my price will wind up until I'm finished with a project.
So Jamie wants to cut these with an actual knife, like cut on them so that they look even more authentic.
I don't know, maybe I won't. We'll see. All right, let's see if there's any more. Oh, also, here's a little pro tip. Jugs. You know those cool farmhouse jugs that you see at the store and you're like, oh, I wish I could find those picking.
She's giving away the secret.
This is the secret.
It's not a
secret. We have a store here called Harmon's. Now where you live, you might have to go to like a natural food stores because they generally tend to put more things in glass because it's more eco-friendly. But we buy an apple juice. It's an all-natural apple juice from Harmon's. It's $7.99 for a gallon jug. My kids love the apple juice. And then I take the jug, and as is, I'd sell it for like $16 just cleaned out. But I'll put flowers in it, and I can get $30 for like 4 things of flowers and this jug. And people will buy them up, especially in the spring. I put these really cute like fake peonies in them. So never underestimate the power of things that you might ordinarily throw away. It reuses something that would normally go in the landfill, and you're not paying a lot of money. You're getting whatever's in the item, and then you're selling the jar separately. So look for apple juice jugs or any kind of jugs that might, vinegar or anything like that, come in that are cool shape, because you can always reuse them. You can even paint them the way that we paint glass, or you can leave them the way they are. That's not a tip I share a lot with people, because I don't want people to know where they come from, but there you have it. I used to, when we would get ready for markets, I'd go buy like a dozen of them, and then I would pour the juice out into like big containers and stick it in the fridge. Also, I have used soup cans, like little soup cans, and made IOD molds and made little planters out of those. Those would normally go in the garbage.
We have a whole video on that.
Spaghetti jars. You can totally paint a spaghetti jar and put a stamp on it or a mold and make it look darling and resell that. Number 10 cans. So when you get like a big can of nacho cheese sauce, or we have them because we have big families, but if you go to like Costco, you'll see those big number 10 cans. Those you can take and clean out and then use the Costco toilet bowl cleaner. Well, it's not the Costco brand, it's like the Clorox, but it's the one they have with the bleach. And put toilet bowl cleaner on it, and you can rust those. And you could even put like a handle on it to make like a pail with a handle, or you can plant in it. We've even cut them in half and mounted them on wood. So those are other things that you can junk and thrift and make a lot of money without not spending a lot of money. Oh, Reclaimed by Ramsey says, I've been selling my cider jugs for years. Heck yes, man. Like, I started doing it and a few people figured it out in my area, then more people started doing it. But it's a great way to take things that would normally be thrown away and make a little bit of money on them and save the environment. And usually people won't be upset that you're reusing stuff because it's really eco-friendly and they don't have the time or the inclination to like fix it up. What you doing there, Zeb?
Wet distressing. I don't have water here, so I'm just using this cheap vinegar window cleaner
It's
from
mostly
the
water
dollar
from
store.
the dollar store.
Yeah.
Can you get my water bottle?
Oh, we told them we were gonna pan the room.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
Milk
I'm gonna.
bottles work well too, yes. Dairy containers.
So I'm gonna show you. This room was mostly empty. The people that work for us here were painting the whole time we were gone. So we've got all this stuff over here. Never mind the mess. We got to get that cleaned up.
Tools. This is a stack of windows and mirrors. We've got a few of those. IOD is coming out with new transfers, so I'm hoarding windows and mirrors for that.
So a couple of things were here like this we got a few weeks ago, but this is all from the barn sale. I'm gonna make a huge table out of these. It's gonna be
Those
awesome.
have another base that's over here. Show them
bases are right here.
Right there. So I paid $40 each for those, but it saves Zeb so much time, and the wood itself is worth so much money.
The wood would have been worth $40 each. Like there's more than $40 of wood there.
And then, so that's the chicken cage. It's on wheels. People use them as coffee tables, so I'm going to clean it up and probably put some stuff inside of it and decorate that. This is actually a pigment dispenser from a paint company. I picked that up, I think it was like $60, but it's huge and rusted and it looked great in my shop. It's like a big statement piece. So I picked that up at the barn
We
sale.
got some mirrors and a light.
That was only $20, which is like a third of the price of the other one, I think.
An old ceiling tin, a wire
That one was
basket.
$20. That was $15, the big wire basket that's there.
And the back porch has probably another 15
Zeb, you want to
windows.
show them over there? We've got like doors
Oh.
and windows.
Oh yeah, doors and windows here. There's a really cool mirror that I think we're keeping for ourselves. That's hiding
Yeah,
back
that's
here.
gonna go into Adelia's room.
I don't think I can show you that without knocking it over.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Well, here, I can do it.
Hopefully you don't get sick. I don't have my gimbal hooked
So
up.
this mirror, I did pay $100 for it, but if I were gonna sell it, I'd sell it for like $300.
You might-
So
Here.
there we go. You could just show it to them that way. Isn't it gorgeous? So, so pretty. So I'm saving that for the farmhouse.
And is that metal or is that just painted wood on the side?
It's painted wood on the side.
Oh.
It's painted in
It
silver.
looks metal.
And then I picked up, this is gonna go in the shop. I paid $55 for this giant window, but it's already gotten the mirror paint on it. All I have to do is clean it and I'll sell it for like $150. And then this door was $50. It's missing the glass, but the color, showed the color on this side. I actually am thinking this is gonna be in the farmhouse. I'll probably use it behind something in the store just to add some interest, and then it won't be for sale. But anytime I
All
can
this in a week.
And then I picked up, this was $10. We could show them the back porch, but I don't know if the internet would survive.
Yeah, it doesn't like it out there.
We'll video the back porch and put it on our channel later. But those are the kind of things that when you find good stuff like that, the stuff wasn't super cheap, but definitely statement pieces, and they had them priced less than I would sell them for. Would you grab my purple water bottle though?
Yeah, luckily the grand opening is Saturday, so we're like really hustling to get all of this stuff fixed up and done and ready.
How much did I pay for the door? I paid $55 for the door, which in my shop it would sell for $125 all day long, because it's got the original like plate on the front and the color. It's gonna probably go in my house. So the farmhouse, I'm gonna be collecting doors because in the farmhouse we're gonna have no new doors. Every single door is gonna be an antique door.
Which means I gotta custom size all the frames.
So I've
all right.
got to start hoarding it. So it's not really spent. It's like building supplies. We'll show you on a later video this week, but outside I have the most amazing galvanized sink that I picked up for $225. It would sell at my shop for at least $500. If you bought it new, you probably couldn't touch it for under $600 or $700. So it was a really good deal. All right. Carolyn says, what were you saying about not picking faster than your brush can fly? The thing is, everything Zeb showed you, I won't be painting any of that. I'm going to clean it and display it as is. So I'm buying things that are already cool enough they can go in the shop the way that they are.
Yeah, most of that stuff just needs cleaned.
They said the only problem is old doors are short. Yes and no. This door is actually so tall that it went past the edge of my truck. So it's actually quite tall. You just have to find the tall doors, and those are the ones you use when you're building.
Sometimes if they're on the short side, I'll use them for like a cabinet or a closet, and I'll leave some room on the bottom of it. Like I'll make it fit up at the top of the door jamb, and then it'll have a little room up underneath.
This is the best compliment ever. Are you ready? Janet Valentin says, like Joanna Gaines' inventory of treasure. Oh yeah.
She has
If
like
I'm ever
warehouses.
rich like them, I'm gonna have an entire warehouse organized like that too. Because then when you go to do a project, finding the stuff can be kind of difficult. But if you already have it, then you're good to go. I'm not rich like that, so I can't shop like
Well,
that.
if you ever watch like on her shows when she's going through, she knows where everything is and she knows what she's got.
What is the big spindle thing? That is a chicken crate. I think that's what they were talking about. That's like how they would transport chickens. Somebody already put wheels on the bottom of it, and it was only $60. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome, because I would sell it for $120 as is, the way that it is, even if I don't do anything else to it. And when the work's already done for you, I'm like, got it. And the thing is, people can go to these barn sales, but they're only like periodically. So when you have a store, the biggest thing you can do is really set it up that people know that when they come, they're gonna find certain things, and time is money. So if they know they can come to your store and it's open all the time and you have good, well-curated goods, people will pay it. They will. I do. Like if I'm looking for a project, we needed a door for our house. There's a place called Georgia Salvage. He's expensive, but I knew that I needed this door. I went there, I paid $100, way cheaper than if I bought a hardwood door new, and I got exactly what I wanted. And that's kind of what people come here for, because we have all price points, but I also have some really good things you're not gonna find everywhere.
Yeah, we do have a lot of inexpensive items in the shop too.
Now that light fixture, I'm gonna be hard pressed to actually put that in the shop.
Oh, yeah, we might be able to put that like over the stove or something.
Over the kitchen
where
sink.
we do like the hood or whatever.
Or it could go in another bathroom, like in my mom's bathroom downstairs.
Yeah.
I say my mom's bathroom, she's not. Like,
It's gonna be the guest bathroom.
The guest bathroom. So.
But your mom does traditionally stay with us the longest every year.
Oh, Kimberly says you will, no doubt. They didn't have a ton of money to start. You know what? That is true. I don't know if you guys have followed Chip and Joanna from the beginning, but if you watch what her little shop looked like, her cute little magnolia, it really didn't look like much different from ours or any of the shops that I've seen you guys have. That's the way she started out. She didn't have money for these big fancy displays. She just did the best she could with what she had. And to think she went from that to, you know, what she has now means that that is a possibility for anybody. You put that hard work in there, you get your name out there, you continue to work on your designs, and you build on what you have, and you can create amazing things. I have to tell myself that, like when I go to these shops that are so beautiful, I'm like, oh, will my store ever look like that? Yeah, it will, but it didn't happen to those people overnight. You know, they didn't just wake up one day and have an amazing shop. It took them a while to curate the look and really hone in on the style they wanted to do.
Well, even our shop, like we were looking at displays and things in France. We're like, oh, we need to go home and do that.
Yeah.
But you know, I haven't had a spare second to build, and it's probably not going to happen anytime soon. And we're always like, oh, we'll do all these things once the house is done. You know, you just got to do it a little bit at a time. You can't just plan on just having it all at once.
No, it doesn't work that way. And Carolyn says, if I'm not mistaken, Joanna Chip started out flipping houses and living in them while they did. Yep, they absolutely did. And if you guys read their book, when they got picked up by HGTV, Chip had basically spent every last dime they had on a boat that didn't work because they were going to live on a houseboat. And it was actually that houseboat and the argument they had, and then the way Joanna was like, okay, let's fix this problem. How are we going to make this work? And they saw the way they worked together. That's why they got picked up for a show, not because they were good on camera, because they were willing to work through a problem. And sometimes, you know, bad investments can turn out to something good if you like flip it, you know? It's kind of like me with my $45 paint bucket. I got all those copper pots because they saw the chippy bucket and were like, oh, maybe she wants this crap. She said, look what happened in 6 months. You guys are on fire. The last 6 months have been a little bit crazy, but I'm not going to lie. I'll be 100% honest. Our savings account is like, because we've been like reinvesting in so many parts of our business, but we can also see that there's so many.
The house budget took a hit.
Yeah, it takes a licking and keeps on.
But we didn't do it knowing that we're able to squeeze a dime here and do some of the things on our own that cost quite a bit. So
Vintage Vibe says, Zeb, we are having difficulty finding a closet door narrow enough to fit our linen closet. Do you have a link about trimming down doors and making them fit the opening?
I don't have. When we hung our pantry door in the house we're living in now, I did some trimming down on the door. You just have to be careful because you can't go into the center part of the door because the way that they're tongue and grooved together, if you cut that, it'll be weak and the door will fall apart. So you still have to kind of start out with a smaller door, but I'll try to find the link for that video and put it in the description of this video here when we're done so that you have that.
Yeah, Zeb has cut down a few doors. But that's a cool thing about old antique doors, that you can find some smaller dimensions that you wouldn't ordinarily find. So make sure you always have those dimensions with you, so when you're out and about picking or going to an antique store or whatever, you can measure things, see how much solid wood you have on the sides, and see how much you can take it down without ruining the integrity of the door. Oh, also Laura says barn doors are a great solution. Yeah, it's a really good option.
Yeah, we saw tons of barn doors. So in Europe and France, like the buildings are mortar and block and things. They got walls
And they're
like
little
this
teeny
thick.
tiny skinny narrow.
And there were no bathrooms in these buildings when they were built. Everyone went outside or whatever, chamber pots, you know, all that.
We
good
saw
stuff.
people peeing all over the place. Guys on the side of the road, like open air peeing.
Well, to the point I was trying to make.
Sorry.
The bathrooms were tiny and really small, and they had some really creative space solutions there.
Teeny tiny sinks, because you only need enough room to wash your hands.
So that was fun to see. So
Things that our building codes would never allow for here in the States.
no, like I'm struggling with building code right now with our HVAC.
Yeah. All right, you guys, we have been on an hour. I think we've answered every question that I could. If you didn't get your question asked, go ahead and ask it, and we will. If you didn't get your question answered, go ahead and ask it, and we'll answer it at a later date. And I hope this helps you guys figure out kind of what we're looking for and gives you some extra oomph the next time you're out junking. Another thing that I didn't say was when you're in a hurry, if you like something, grab it. You can always give yourself a couple of minutes to ditch stuff at the end. We do that all the time. When we're in the thrift store and we're in a hurry, we just grab everything we think we might want. And then we take a couple minutes and then go through it and then make a
Pare
decision.
it down and put some
Pare
stuff
it down.
back.
Or sometimes we just buy it all. But if you don't do that, then later on you'll be kicking yourself because you'll see it in somebody else's cart. So rapid fire picking is always best.
All right, guys, we will catch you later.
All right, love you guys. Hold on.
Wait, what?
I was just gonna say we'll be live again next Tuesday, and next Tuesday's theme is going to be, and I'm not sure what time. It depends on when Debbie flies
So
out.
next week, I wanted to also, we're doing a couple of pictures, but I wanted to show like some decoupage with those.
Okay, because
That's what the printable is.
I wanted to talk about
Here,
our
let's
grand
talk
op-
about this.
Sorry, I wanted to talk about our grand opening.
Oh yeah, that'll be
So
good.
next Tuesday's video for channel members will be the ins and outs, things we wish we would have known and we won't know until we do the grand opening. And we'll get you a time. I need to see when Debbie flies out because I got to make sure I get her to the airport on time. But be looking forward to that video coming up. Thanks for being patient with us this month. I know that we've been delayed on getting our book chapter out and our printables and all that kind of stuff, but it's just been a little bit crazy. So we appreciate your grace on our part.
Thank you.
I think that's it now. Okay. Bye.
I'm still gonna do some decoupaging with the printable.
Decoupage away.